Hello and welcome to the Live Well podcast. I'm Jo Isaac, Senior Manager Communications at Integrated Living Australia, and I'm speaking to you from a Awabakal country in Newcastle. Integrated Living acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the traditional owners and custodians of this country. We pay our respect to them, their cultures and customs, and to elders both past, present and emerging. Today, I'm very pleased to be joined by one of Integrated Living's wonderful support workers, Katrina Baxter, to talk about what it's like to support older people in the community. Welcome, Katrina.
Hi.
Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Hi. Obviously, my name is Katrina. I'm a support worker for Integrated Living. I live in the Newcastle area and I am a support worker for the Lake Macquarie team.
So Katrina, how long have you been a support worker?
I've been a support worker since January 2019, so it's just gone on 5 years now.
Had you been a support worker prior to starting with Integrated Living?
No, I was an AIN working in a facility prior to this.
What attracted you, Katrina, to becoming a support worker?
This is a pretty easy one for me. I was currently at uni studying to be a midwife, but then my mother fell really ill with ovarian cancer and dementia. So I think after watching the care that mum received through palliative care with the nurses, but also workers from the community came in and really helped support mum, supported me. So that's when a light bulb sort of moment come on for me, and I decided to defer uni. I never went back, and I actually whispered to my mum, because mum was in hospice for 9 days before she passed away, and the last thing I said to her was, I promise I'll give back to the community. So that was enough of a challenge for me to think, okay, I'm going to study and be an AIN and give back to the community, and here I am. That was probably the biggest moment and calling for me to want to be a support worker. But also I did really love when mum and I went, before mum got really ill, that we used to go out and have coffee every Tuesday, and I'd see support workers in the community working and bonding and laughing and having a great time just out and about. And it was so inspiring. And I wanted that.
Oh.
And I knew I could do it. So I was like, yep, this is me. This is
That's awesome, Katrina. And thank you for sharing that story, because it's so meaningful to you. Obviously, every day you have your mum there with you in many ways when you're doing what you're doing.
100%. And she's the one that gives me the drive. And I know she's looking down, and it's made me more passionate to want to do what I do. Yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. So I'm definitely glad I switched from beginning of life to then switch over to working with the elderly. Best decision I ever made.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Katrina. So is being a support worker what you expected it to be when you started out?
It's more than what I expected it to be. It's definitely more. I didn't think I'd have the more deep connections as what you do with the clients. It's more rewarding and it's more challenging, but in a positive way than what I thought it would be. And I didn't realise there was so much variety in work with the clients. It's not, sometimes when people think support work, oh, you're just going in and having a cuppa. It's not. It's so much more than that. And it's just such a big variety that I didn't expect. But I think to care for those who once cared for us is the biggest honour we can have. So it's definitely exceeded more than what I thought it would.
When you say the positive challenges, what do you mean when you say that?
Like having clients that have been sad or they're unable to do stuff for themselves, and then you've worked with them for such a long period of time doing numerous things, whether you're bringing in OTs and stuff, and then to see the changes in them is really positive. Like some clients can be very shut off.
Yeah.
They've got past trauma, and to see where they are now, like it can be a little bit challenging at first, but it's a positive challenge. It's always positive.
That's amazing because, yes, you can work with many people in integrated living or different allied health and nurses, and you can bring people to them as they need them.
Yeah,
You're like that conduit in a lot of ways to find those more positive outcomes for the clients, aren't you, as a support worker?
absolutely. Yeah,
That's,
definitely.
that's
Uh,
so good.
yeah,
It's
it's
so good
definitely
to see
pivotal.
positive change in anyone, isn't it? To see and feel like that you've been really critical part of helping that person get to a more positive place is so rewarding, I imagine.
Absolutely, it is. Like even one client I had, I used to go there and it was mum and daughter, and the daughter was our client, and she hid in her room for 6 weeks before I actually got her to come out of the room. And now, as soon as I get there, she's at the front door before I even get there.
Oh, that's amazing.
Someone that would not go near anybody now is she's like
Excited.
she's excited. Yeah, she's full of life. She goes out in the community now where she never would. That's amazing. That's her doing that, not me. That's all thanks to her. Pretty inspiring.
Absolutely. And you're right, because obviously that people have to want to make that change. But they she obviously felt safe enough with you to make that change. So that's also a lot of credit, no doubt, belongs with you.
Thank
Um,
you.
uh, what do you love most about working with older people, Katrina?
I love the fact that we can assist them independently to stay living in their home. Probably the most thing I love is I love the stories. I love the history. I love the knowledge. I could stay there for hours and listen to it. That is the best part of the job. Like some of the stories and like the adventures and the life that people have lived, it's incredible. And even like to hear some of the stories, like some of the veterans, what they've been through to where they are now. I would have not have known any of this had I
Mm,
been a support worker. Yeah, that's probably one of my favourite things. But one thing I do love the most too is knocking on the door and seeing your client smile and be excited, because sometimes clients, some of them don't have any family. Unfortunately, not a lot, but some do. So we could be the only people that they see coming in and out of the house. Just going there and knowing that you've made an impact on their day and you've assisted them in whatever they may need for that day. And then walking out the door when you both got a smile on your face. That's what I love.
that's magic. It's so good. When you tell people what you do, how do you describe it to them? Is there a way you talk about support work to your family and friends?
Yeah, I tell often they'll ask me, "Oh, what do you do?" Because my sister says, "Oh, do you just drink cups of tea all day?" I'm like, "No, no, well, I do, but no." It's more about looking after their well-being, assisting them in their daily life, personal care, which showering, shaving, cleaning their teeth, doing meal preps for them, maybe just making a meal for the night or preparing some to put in the freezer.
Mhm.
Being a support worker is assisting them shopping, taking to doctor's appointments or any other appointment that they may need. Even just something as simple as, like I said, sitting down, having a cuppa and a chat and just listening to what, they'd like to talk about. Or, yeah, it's a huge variety being a support worker. There's many different things you do daily.
Absolutely. Yeah, and every client would have their own preferences. And yeah, it's what you can't plan for it. I guess it's just whatever happens on the day, which is exciting, really, as a job, isn't it? Because it's not the same all the time.
No, that's right. And we get a roster and it tells us you might go to someone in the morning and then you're doing something completely different in the afternoon.
Hmm.
Yeah, the variety is amazing.
So, can you tell us a favorite story or two about how you've been able to help your clients and some ways that you've impacted them in a positive way?
Yeah, this one's a little tearjerker for me.
Oh,
But it's a good one, but a sad one. We had a beautiful dear client. Unfortunately, I just lost him a couple of weeks ago.
so sorry.
Thank you. When I first went in there, the first service I went into the house, I've gone in and you introduce yourself and whatnot. And often, like, I'll do a little scour around of seeing something that I can make a topic of. And I noticed a sausage dog ornament on their TV unit. So that became the first topic to talk about. And I was like, oh, wow, you got a little sausage dog. And both the husband and wife, the husband was my client for the day. And we got talking, and the wife was telling me after he had a stroke, he ended up with a brain injury, unfortunately. And all he wanted was a dachshund for therapy, because they used to have dachshunds. They've had dachshunds their whole lives. And the wife was saying to me, God, I've been trying to find someone to do dog therapy. A dachshund is not really, hard to
Therapy
find
dog.
dog therapy with. But, oh my goodness, I have 7. And it became the biggest topic. And, his eyes lit up, and I became his best friend from that day. Until I told him I was a Broncos fan and he was a St. George fan, a Rabbitohs fan, I should say. So after thinking about it when the service ended, and, I was there for 3 hours, so we had a pretty lengthy story about it. I spoke to his case manager about how could we try and get some form of dog therapy in for the client. And the case manager knew that I had dachshunds, and we both agreed, and we spoke to Integrated Living, and I got it all approved. And every second Wednesday, I was able to take 2 of my dachshunds that got approved to do dog therapy with the client. Now, the look on his face when I first turned up with the dachshunds is a look I'll never forget. He went from not really speaking, pretty quiet man, just played on his iPad, and, we spoke and had coffee, to all of a sudden, every second Wednesday, the wife was making a roast chicken, I kid you not, for the dogs, for when I got there on the Wednesday. And my client only got the leftover bits. My dog ended up loving my client more than me.
That's a beautiful story. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was so special. And it got to, like I was saying, he just sat in his chair, never really got out of his chair, to then coming out the backyard, just slowly watching dogs play. He then started throwing a ball for the dogs. He started interacting, making conversations. And this all helped with his brain injury as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And his communication skills. It was a huge progress for him.
Oh, it's such a beautiful story. I'm so pleased. It's almost like when they say the world aligns, and you were supposed to meet him, and not many people have 6 dachshunds at home.
No, they still
ready to.
Now he ended up buying one.
Wow, that's amazing.
His daughter and his wife, probably about 12 months before he passed away, he's had the dog. So he's got a little long-haired dapple dachshund who's just absolutely gorgeous, because we both said, like, the love he had for my dog was just, the connection was instant, and the feeling was mutual with my dog as well. Like,
that's amazing.
He just absolutely loved him. He'd sit on his lap and he wouldn't come near me for 2 hours. He'd still be sitting on the lounge looking at the client as if to say, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's beautiful though. That's just a great story. Thank you so much for sharing that. So you have touched on this a little bit, but what are the most interesting things you've done with or for your clients over your time?
Yeah, there's probably a few that I could rattle off. One of them was a client of mine, both husband and wife are clients with Integrated Living. I've been with these clients, husband and wife, for 5 years. They were actually the first week of me starting Integrated Living.
Wow.
So I was with them for a long time, and not every service, but most services, when I was doing personal care for this lady, she always spoke about her love of horses. They're very big on horses in the family. And she had a horse named Trixie. And I'd always put a T-shirt on her that looked like her horse Trixie, and she had dementia. So the family and we spoke, and I knew near my house there was a paddock with the horses, and I know the people. So we surprised her, put her in the car. We stopped and got, just myself and the client, we did the respite service in the afternoon. So coming on sunset, we stopped at Macca's and got a coffee each. And then I stopped at the servo and bought a loaf of bread. She kept looking at me as if to say, what on earth are you doing with a loaf of bread? And that's when I took her to see the horse, because it was the same colour as her horse Trixie.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So when we got there, she thought that the horse was Trixie. and she got to feed the horse, and it just brought back so many memories for her. We got some gorgeous photos that the family ended up making onto tiles.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
they're now in the home.
Oh,
Unfortunately, she passed away just after Christmas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was a really interesting day, that we did that. And we stayed out there for quite a while. Like, we were there for probably about an hour and just watching her face feeding the horse, and it jotted her memory.
Yes.
Yeah, she spoke about it for probably 6 months after.
That's so precious, isn't it? That being able to connect someone living with dementia with something so precious to them. Yeah, what an honour to be there to see that.
Absolutely. And that's just part of also with our role being a support worker. It's something like doing something like that for the client is so unique and special. I've had a few interesting ones. I've also got to do water aerobics.
Oh, wow.
And this client, when we were leaving, she actually said to me, I can show you what I used to do when I was younger if you like. And I said, oh, what's that? She goes, I can do a backflip. And I said, oh, no, please don't. Please don't do a backflip.
Not while I'm on the job.
Yeah, definitely not while I'm on the job. So, yeah, that was a really fun and interesting day doing water aerobics. So we've stopped it for now, but we're about to jump back into our water aerobics once a fortnight.
Oh, that's wonderful. And look, you're keeping fit on the job too there, which is really great while you're working. That's cool. Awesome.
Wonderful. I get to go into the hydrotherapy pool. Yeah. So I got certified through Integrated Living to do that as well with her. So
that's so great.
And never thought I'd do something like that. So Integrated Living brought out a lady, and she certified me to be able to do it and showed me some techniques to help the client with movements in the hydrotherapy pool. Yeah, so that's really interesting. Like, I really enjoyed myself that day.
Oh, that's so good, and that you're going to be doing that again very shortly, which is amazing. But like also that those opportunities to become qualified in other areas that help your clients is really fantastic too, to be supported in that way. That's really good that Integrated Living supported you like that. It's really excellent, and also goes to show those two stories. Yeah, that's really heaps of variety in what you do in any given week.
Absolutely. And there's so many different, I've noticed since being a support worker, there's so many different opportunities out there with Integrated, and they're always on board to be able to assist and help. Exactly. Being certified to do the water therapy and then being certified to do the dog therapy was really amazing and quite special. So I'm grateful for Integrated Living doing that for me.
The next question is, what's a typical day look like for you, Katrina, or is there no such thing as a typical day?
I'd probably say there's no such thing as a typical day for myself, apart from a Wednesday and a Friday. My Wednesday and Fridays my roster kind of rolls over each week, which is fantastic because it's great.
But you have that continuity with your clients then too. Is that right? Yeah.
Definitely. But each day is a little bit different. I personally don't get a lot of different clients. I have a lot of regular clients, but do have different clients from time to time. But each day is a little bit different. I normally start off the morning with doing 1 or 2 personal cares. And then I might switch up, have a tea break, and then go into doing some domestic assistance for a client for an hour and a half, and then jump into some lifestyle and leisure, social support for a client, and then possibly finish off with a meal prep or a personal care.
So the social side of it, Katrina, like you the lifestyle and leisure you call it, which is the way we describe it. How, to you, in your mind, how important is that social connection that you bring to people? It might be a scheduled social activity, but the whole time you're there, no doubt, you're interacting with your clients, and no matter what you're doing, obviously. Is the social, and you mentioned well-being before, that social well-being side of what you do is pretty vital, isn't it, with some of the clients who may not have a lot of interaction with people every day?
Really important and vital to be able to interact and have that lifestyle and leisure to get them introduce them back out into the community, because some clients may have been in respite time due to personal reasons, injuries, things like that. So I think having that lifestyle and leisure is really important. So they've got some form of interaction with other people out in the community, with myself. Yeah, it's really important for them.
Especially if after a while they build up that confidence to be out independently of you as well. Isn't that right?
That's right. Yeah, to build that independence back for them, so they're able to go out in the community if one of us support workers are not there on the day that they may have an appointment, or may just want to pop out, meet someone for friends. Yeah, they've got the option to be able to get a cab or whatever they may need and have the confidence to get back out on themselves. Yeah, it's definitely really important for their well-being.
For sure. So we did talk a little bit about this before, but about your vital role as a support worker in noticing things about clients when you see them, especially as you say you have like regular clients, and how if you feel like there's something not quite right as a support worker, you can connect them to other services that integrated living offers, like allied health services or nursing services. So how does that work in practice with connecting our whole team together to ensure that all of our clients have better health outcomes, better wellbeing outcomes?
Yep. That's where we're pretty lucky with integrated living. We really are supported with amazing team leaders. Each team is broken up into little teams. We have our own team leader, and at any time, like if we go to a client's house and we notice something different, we've got the ability to be able to communicate through documenting, letting the team leader know, letting the client's case manager know. We really are supported with fantastic registered nurses as well, which is great. And we also have a customer service line that we can call at any time. We are pretty lucky, and we all communicate together. The case managers will, if we report something, they will then pass that on to allied health RNs, and then through client notes, emails, and things like that. But that's one thing I can definitely say. Our team leaders are absolutely amazing and super supportive. Everyone in integrated living supportive, even the work colleagues.
Yeah.
People, other colleagues that go to the same client. The communication with integrated living is spot on.
What are your top tips for people thinking about working in aged care, Katrina?
Research. You definitely have to do your research. You need to look into the roles that you would be providing for that company and the clients, just to make sure that you have the correct skills to be able to provide it. Communication, that is a big skill you should have. Also, you really should do your Cert 3. That will give you a bigger step into the door to be able to provide extra services for clients. Look into doing your first aid, your CPR, and just a good general health knowledge is what I would say. Yeah.
And what would you say to someone who is considering support work as a career? Like, it's about all those things, having those, I guess, the skill set, but what is it in their heart that's going to make them a great support worker, do you think? Is it all about the heart, really, and at the end of the day?
It's all about the heart. Yeah. I'd say don't hesitate. Do it. You won't regret it. It's extremely rewarding. Extremely. You're providing both physical and emotional support for clients, and that's something you just can't put a price on. Yeah.
That's so true. I can imagine how often you come away from doing your job and just feel really great that what you've done that day. Like it must be a wonderful feeling, really.
It is. It's a beautiful feeling. And to hear the client say, "Oh, thank you so much. I couldn't have done this without your help." And it just warms your heart. You have to have a big heart. You have to be kind, have good communication skills, patience, just generally a kind person. Yeah, it's such a rewarding job. Look, it's the best thing I ever done. The only thing I wished I did it sooner.
Oh,
Yeah, I should have started it sooner, but here I am 5 years later, and I'll still be here in another 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I'm not going anywhere.
We're very happy to hear it because everybody who you work with loves you. I know that's a fact.
It's so client tells you they love you. You walk out the door, they're like, "Oh my God, see you, Katrina. I love you. See you next week." Like, oh, did they just say they love me?
That's amazing, because there's not many jobs you can do where when you leave at the end of the day, someone says, "I love you."
No, not at all. I've actually caught myself saying, "I love you, bye." And I'm like, oh.
I'm sure you've become very protective of your clients, and no doubt you think about them all the time, even when you're not with them.
I do, yeah. I just want to grab them all and just nurture them all. They're just so beautiful. See, I grew up with no grandparents either. Each and every one, you go there and it doesn't feel like work. I'm obviously there working, but it doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm just going in to have a cup of tea with my grandfather or my grandmother, and you can sit down and talk to them like you've known them your whole life. You know, I don't know. It just touches my heart so much. I just love them all. I want to nurture and just keep them all safe.
That describes it so well. What you just said is, do you think you're going to feel like this when you're working with or supporting older people? Then this is the job for you. I think a lot of older people just feel like no one really thinks about them because they're older, but they have so many things to teach us, and they are still the same person they always were.
Yeah, you're definitely correct there. Like sometimes people think, oh yeah, they're old. No, they're not. They're a walking book of knowledge. They have so much history and so much knowledge. It's unbelievable. Like I myself have grown and learnt so much. And if I'm at work and I'm thinking, oh, I feel a bit tired today, I didn't get much sleep. And then you go to someone's house and then you see them and hear their stories. It's like, what are you whinging for? Like me, what am I whinging for? Look at me. I'm fine. They inspire me. Honestly, they really do. Some of the stuff they do for their age. Like I had a lady the other day that's 98 and she come out of the house and we're walking to the car and she pretty much just opened the door and jumped in my car. And I couldn't believe it. At 98 years old. And she's sitting there and she's laughing and she's talking and oh, she was the funniest lady ever. And that was the first time I'd been to her. And from the moment she got in my car, it was like sitting next to my best friend. And then she just jumped out of the car, like when we got out. And I'm like, you're full of life. I need to be like you. You take little snippets from each client and it builds your strength and it builds your heart.
And I think in my experience, all the older people I know are just so engaged with life and want to be engaged with life and enjoy younger people around them. And so I think it's just amazing what you do, and to be like genuinely interested and present with the clients that you're with would just mean the world to them. I have no doubt about it. And they want to know all about your life and what you're doing. It's all about connection, really, isn't it?
It is. It's about the connection. Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
You do an amazing job, Katrina. We're so blessed to have you as part of the Integrated Living team, and all the wonderful work that you do with our clients is, I'm sure, very much appreciated. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your stories with us. We really appreciate it, and it's been so lovely to talk to you today. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. I really you guys do for me as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Katrina.